Have you ever looked in the mirror and felt that your face just seems heavier? It isn't your fault. This is the inverted triangle shift, a geometric reality that drags your visual center of gravity downward. Data confirms a specific 2 to 4 millimeter drop per decade. It creates a structural collapse. But we can reverse this instantly, not with surgery, but by treating your haircut as architecture. My friends, the truth is, most stylists cut for shape. We need to cut for structure. Think of your hair like a suspension bridge. If the cables are slack, the entire profile falls. Whether you are budget conscious or embracing natural curls, today we apply the physics of anti-aging to reveal the 5 specific cuts that defy gravity and instantly lift. But before we can build this new structure, we have to respect that the building material itself has fundamentally changed. We need to look under the microscope to understand the physics of what is happening. The medical data reveals a process called miniaturization. Between 40 and 50% of women over 60 experience a reduction in hair shaft diameter. It's not that your hair is falling out, it is literally shrinking. Imagine building a skyscraper. In your 30s, you were building with steel beams. Now, you are trying to build that same height using toothpicks. The structural integrity has changed. When you force a toothpick to reach the same height as a steel beam, it collapses. That is why volume sprays stop working. They can't prop up a structure that lacks the tensile strength to stand. This brings us to the second physics principle, specular reflection. We all want that glossy shine, right? But shine is just light bouncing off a smooth surface. When hair miniaturizes, or when gray hair comes in without melanin and a rougher cuticle, the surface becomes uneven. Instead of reflecting light like a polished mirror, it scatters it like a jagged rock. This diffuse reflection is why long, unlayered cuts often look dull or matte no matter how much oil you apply. It means we aren't fighting a losing battle. We just need a new blueprint for this new, delicate material. This brings us to the first architectural secret that solves the problem of support: the cantilever. In architecture, a cantilever is a rigid structural element that extends horizontally and is supported at only one end. Think of the famous balconies at Frank Lloyd Wright's Fallingwater House. They jut out into space, defying gravity, because they are anchored by heavy structure behind them. We apply this exact principle to the classic wedge or graduated bob. Instead of steel and concrete, we use graduation. This means we cut the hair at the nape of the neck much shorter, stacking layer upon layer. These stacked layers create a support system, a physical shelf, that pushes the longer hair on top, upward, and outward. The weight line pushes the volume up, counteracting that inverted triangle we talked about earlier. This works because of the Gestalt law of continuity. In psychology, this law states that the human brain is wired to follow lines to their conclusion. When we cut a diagonal line from the nape up toward the chin, we create a visual path. This diagonal line acts like an exit ramp for the eye, forcing the viewer's gaze upward toward your cheekbones and eyes. Now, I don't want you to worry that you'll look like a helmet. If you have a rounder face, we ask the stylist for a steeper angle to create length. If your features are more angular, we soften that graduation to a gentle slope. You get the lift of a facelift with just scissors. But there is a deeper structural shift happening below the jawline that most stylists miss completely. Ladies, I want you to stop looking at your face for a moment and look at the column of your neck. We spend so much time analyzing our jawlines that we miss a massive structural shift happening in the body itself. The medical data indicates that by age 60, the average woman experiences cervical spine compression, often resulting in a height loss of 1 to 2 inches. It's not just that we stand differently. The intervertebral discs lose hydration and compress. This causes the head to settle lower into the shoulders. The physical canvas, the distance between your earlobe and your shoulder, literally decreases. This is where the safe shoulder-length cut actually betrays us. When that neck distance shortens, hair that hits the shoulders creates visual clutter. It bunches up, rubbing against your collar, creating a heavy horizontal mass that makes the neck look non-existent. It looks like you are wearing a thick wool scarf that is tied too tight. We solve this by creating negative space. This is the power of the pixie or the trending bixie. By clearing the hair off the collar, we reveal the column of the neck. We artificially restore that vertical space. Suddenly, you look taller. You regain that lost stature and elegance instantly. Now, I know the word pixie can feel terrifying. If you aren't ready to go that short, I want you to explore the bixie. It is the perfect hybrid, keeping the face framing length of a bob, but adding the internal texturing of a pixie. It gives you the elongation of the neck without the feeling of being exposed. I can feel the hesitation. Sarah, if I expose my neck, won't everyone stare at the loose skin? This is a valid fear, but the solution is not to cover it up with heavy curtains of hair. The solution is optical diffusion. Here is the rule of optics. A blunt, straight line draws the eye immediately to it. If you have a blunt bob that hits right at the jaw or mid-neck, that hard line acts like a neon sign pointing directly at the very thing you want to soften. It creates a high-contrast border that highlights every texture difference on your skin. We want the opposite. We want a soft edge. When you go to the salon, I want you to use specific vocabulary. Do not just say soft. Ask for point cutting or shattered ends. This technique breaks up that hard line, turning the ends of your hair into a soft filter. It scatters the light rather than blocking it, creating a gentle haze that camouflages the neck rather than framing it. And this is where my friends with curly hair have a massive hidden advantage. I know most styling advice ignores you or tells you to straighten your beautiful texture, but in the physics of lifting, curls are a superpower. Because of their spiral structure, curls naturally create that diffused, soft edge without any special cutting technique. You have a built-in filter. Plus, the natural shrinkage of curls provides automatic volume and lift that straight hair struggles to hold. While others are fighting gravity with hairspray, your texture is naturally defying it. You have permission to embrace that texture. It isn't messy, it is mechanism. But even with the right cut and texture, there is one detail that can ruin the entire lift if we get the lighting wrong. Your bangs. Many women ask me, should I get a fringe to hide my forehead wrinkles? It seems logical, but it often creates a blackout effect on your eyes. It comes down to the fringe density coefficient. Think of heavy, thick bangs like the eaves of a house. If the roof overhang is too deep, it casts a permanent shadow over the windows. On your face, a dense fringe casts a shadow directly over your eyes and under eye area, darkening the hollows and exaggerating bags. To look awake, we need light to hit that area. This is why we choose wispy curtain bangs. They allow light to penetrate and fill those hollows, keeping the forehead softened but the eyes bright. Now, before you rush to the salon, grab a hand mirror and check your side profile. Find the occipital bone, that little knob at the base of your skull. This is your occipital anchor. For any lift to work, the weight line of your cut must sit above this bone. If the weight line falls below it, gravity wins and the profile drags. But my friends, I need to be honest with you about the cost of this architecture. There is a financial reality we call the pink tax of precision styling. While a long, one-length cut can go 12 weeks between trims, a precision pixie or wedge loses its geometry in 4 to 6 weeks. That triples your salon visits and maintenance costs. The shorter the hair, the higher the rent. If you are on a fixed budget, or you simply hate sitting in a salon chair, you might want to reconsider the pixie. Instead, choose a textured, chin-length bob. It grows out gracefully and respects your time. You deserve a style that fits your wallet as perfectly as it fits your face. Because historically, the message wasn't just to be quiet, it was to disappear completely. For generations, this instruction manual for disappearing took many forms, like the Victorian bonnet, tightly tied, framing the face in shadow, designed to signal modesty and withdrawal. The message was clear: cover the neck, hide the hair, fade into the background. But looking at you now, I see a generation that is refusing to fade. The physics we explored today, the cantilever, the negative space, the light penetration, these aren't just vanity metrics. They are declarations of presence. You now understand that the inverted triangle shift isn't a personal failure or a flaw in your character. It is simply gravity acting on biology. And just like an architect doesn't apologize for the ground he builds on, you don't need to apologize for the changes in your canvas. You simply re-engineer the lines. Whether you use the soft edge to diffuse the neckline or the precision wedge to lift the cheekbone, the power is no longer in the mirror's reflection. It is in your decision to design it. Now, the blueprint is in your hands. I have to ask, what is your architecture? Are you embracing the curly diffusion or constructing the precision cantilever? Let me know your design choice in the comments below.